So if you want, I can do it all completely for free.
Your backyard.
Your backyard? He seems to be liking it up here.
These guys drop their tails when they're in danger.
Hello, how you doing?
All right.
It's good. I was just driving past. I noticed your front yard was getting a bit out of control.
I'm in quite crook.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say once a week I go around the community and I tidy your yard for free. So if you want, I can do it all completely for free.
Your backyard.
Your backyard? I could probably do that as well.
And I've got 2 kids too.
And it's getting hot and it's too, honestly, that's the last thing you want to have to deal with. Look, all good. I've got the tools to be able to make it a lot easier anyway.
Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's free garden transformation. And if you're new to the channel, I'm so glad that you found your way here. You're going to have a great time. So as I was driving around my community this week, I had come across this massive corner property. I noticed how overgrown the front yard was and it looked like this place hadn't been tidied in quite some time. All of the nature strips that were around this property were also severely overgrown with this tall grass, and this place just looked like a big eyesore for the whole street. But in the center of all of this overgrowth stood a massive jacaranda tree. This tree was absolutely covered in beautiful purple flowers. We get to see these flowers here in Australia towards the end of spring and early summer, so we get them for about 2 to 3 months, but they are beautiful. There was a bottlebrush tree which was growing onto the neighbor's yard, a big jade tree which was being consumed by grass and needed a heavy prune back. And there was also a rose here that was very overgrown and leggy. So I knocked on the front door and I was greeted by the homeowner. She was telling me that she is a single mother of 2 and that she has been quite ill recently, which is why her garden has gotten to this stage. But I told her I would do the yard for free, and then she had mentioned how bad the back was. I also told her that I would do the back for free, but little did I know what I was getting myself into here. To say this backyard was overgrown was putting it very nicely. The grass that was growing out the back here, you could see from the street, it was taller than the fence that was surrounding the property. But as I peered over this fence and looked at the back, I soon realized how dangerous this place was. This environment is the perfect habitat for snakes to be roaming in, especially for the fact that there are 2 young children living here. It's also a huge fire risk as we are entering summer here in Australia and things are getting very hot very quickly. I even had the chance to briefly speak to the neighbor who had come over and talked to me, and he had said that he had seen a brown snake out the front about 3 weeks ago. I'm sure it would be quite worrying having to live next to this place, but the paths out the back here were being completely consumed by thick kikuyu grass, and I ended up finding a lot of strange toys and odd things at this property. I also ran into quite a few creepy crawlies in this one, so brace yourselves for this episode, guys. But I'm going to put a big warning before anything comes on screen just so it doesn't catch anyone by surprise, because I do actually run into quite a few scary critters, but I don't show them all because I don't want you guys to feel uncomfortable. So if you don't want me showing any of the scarier critters and creatures, just let me know in the comments and I'll just stick to showing the friendly ones. But we have completely transformed and tidied this whole place and gotten rid of all of the dangers that were here. So stick around to the end to see all the before and afters from this one. I also just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who has joined the members page, which is live as of last week. I've got a lot of things in store and a lot of things coming your way, so I can't wait to share this with everyone. So again, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone for all of your support. And if you like the work that I do, the best way that you can support me is to just like this video and subscribe to the page. It's completely free to subscribe and it just keeps you updated with all of my latest transformations. Now, enough of me talking, and I have to get out of this ute because it is so hot in here. I am completely sweating. So sit back, relax, grab a coffee, grab a tea, and enjoy today's video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. So I got here a bit earlier today and my mower actually broke. It wouldn't work. It's got an oil leak which is getting into the fuel pump or something, I'm not sure. So I've just gone and bought a new mower. So let's see how good this thing is compared to my last one. I do want to get a ride-on mower at some point, but I have no room at my house. I live in a very small townhouse with a tiny driveway and backyard, so there's already barely any room for another small one of these mowers. But one day that is definitely going to be on the cards. Anyway, let's see what this mower's like. I don't even know what happened, but I looked down and got a bit of a cut on my finger. I must have nicked it on the catch or something, I don't even know. Alright, okay, so time to actually give this mower a test on this lawn. Seemed to be pretty good on these front nature strips. I got this at my steel shop. This is what they recommended me for about $1,000. It's a Mazport Pro Power S19. It's an 850 PXI Briggs & Stratton engine, and it's 190cc. It's got an aluminium body, so it's quite light. Same size blade and catcher as my last mower, so at least I'll have both of these, and the other one will be a backup, or this will be a backup, whatever one I prefer using when the other one's fixed. But let's test this out on some real lawn here. Alright, so spider warning everyone. These are very harmless, but I'm sure you've probably seen photos or videos on the internet of these. They are called huntsman spiders. They can get pretty big, but I've just seen him scuffle up the tree and he is very camouflaged. Let me just show you what he looks like. He's pretty camouflaged. you can probably see where they've run over it with the ride-on mower, and it's obviously set pretty low. Obviously compared to mine's quite low, but theirs is way lower. But I don't want to go that low because they're cutting it pretty much to soil. Anyway, just letting you know why it looks like that. Hello. Okay, so this plant behind me right here, this is a rose. This is called a miniature rose. You may have heard them called patio roses or tea roses, but they have smaller flowers than normal roses. This particular bush actually has quite a lot of flowers on the way, so I'm not going to give this too much of a prune back. But these types of roses usually bloom a lot heavier than normal roses as well, so these are pretty cool. Just trying to open it up a bit so you can actually see these flowers. Alright, so let me just show you what these roses actually look like too, because these are nice pink and white ones and they are tiny little ones, so have a look at this. This right here behind me, this is a jade tree. You may have seen me tackle these quite a few times in my videos. But these are kind of like a succulent. They are really easy to cut through and they're very, very hardy plants here in South Australia. They're very common and they grow like crazy. I've heard a lot of you guys in the US say that these are expensive houseplants, which is pretty crazy to me. It blows my mind because obviously look how big these things grow and you don't even have to do anything. But let's tidy this guy up. And here we have a beautiful red bottlebrush tree. Unfortunately, the flowers are all gone. It's summer now, so these flowers don't always last that long. But the red flowers that this tree produces have a very high level of nectar, so butterflies, bees, and birds absolutely love this plant.
got a very interesting little creature to show you here. I actually haven't seen one of these before. It looks like it could be a grasshopper, but it's a bit of a weird shape, so I'll try and show you, but he may just jump away pretty quickly. Anyway, I am sure it's some type of grasshopper, so if anyone knows what this is, can you let me know in the comments? It'd be good to know. But he seems to be liking it up here. He's just scratching his nose. But I'll put it somewhere safe. So, this tree with these beautiful purple flowers, this is called a jacaranda tree. We actually have a lot of these here in South Australia. These guys don't start flowering till about spring, and around midsummer they lose all their flowers, so you only get a few months of this beautiful color. So I'm not going to touch this, even though it would hit me in the head, because these flowers are beautiful. There's actually a lot planted around the place, so let me just show you some of these other beautiful trees. So we've actually got one on the corner there, and then over this back fence, which we will be getting to. Jeez. There is another one right there. And if you haven't seen what the flowers look like, this is what they look like. Okay, so the front is done, but take a look at this. You can probably see it over the fence here. This backyard is pretty wild. It is probably one of the most craziest ones in terms of potential for snakes. So I'm actually going to go down to one of the shops and get some snake protection gear before I do this, because I was actually talking to the neighbor and he had seen a brown snake a few weeks ago. Have a look at this. All right, so before we get started there, we are getting some protection. Okay, so we've got a pair of gaiters here. These are kind of minimal protection for snakes, but I don't think we'll see any. These go around your legs and act as a bit of body armor for snakes. They go over here and they clip under your boot. So let's get these on and get to the back. So this type of grass here, this is nightmare grass, which is also known as kikuyu grass. When this stuff is thick like this, it is so hard to trim and cut down. So I'm gonna try and trim as much as I can with my whippersnipper, and then I might just have to go over it with the mower. This stuff is absolutely the worst grass. Well, this path was the last thing that I was expecting to find while we've been snippering this lawn. But I'm happy I found it. So this big strip here of kikuyu grass is just crazy. This stuff is so thick. My whippersnipper is barely doing anything to it. I'm gonna try and run over this with the mower and see how we go. Well, this has defeated my mower, so I'm just going to try and whippersnip the last of this and get it as low as I can, and then clear all of this stuff. That was some of the thickest, worst kikuyu I've ever come across. May not have looked like much, but that stuff is so thick. I think I'm going to start wearing these types of hats for a while through summer because It is so hot today and my neck is getting so burnt. So I had to get one of these. Got a little guy to show you here. It's very quick. Hey buddy. This is a drop tail gecko. These guys, oh, oh. I don't know where he's gone. There he is. So these guys drop their tails when they're in danger from birds and predators to pretend that they're dead. This guy looks like he's dropped a tail before. I'll just show you close up what they look like. They're very cute little lizards. So his tail is a little bit different. So I think his tail is a little bit different. So I think he may have dropped this once before. I'm gonna go put this little fella back somewhere safe because he is freaking out a little bit. All right, so I've tried to put him away and he doesn't want to leave now. I think he likes my body heat, so he can just stay on here a little bit until he gets a little bit more relaxed, and then I'll go put him away. All right, I'm gonna go put him away now. So, spider caution. I just found a big wolf spider here. I'll show you what they look like. He's just there. I'm gonna leave him alone. He's not doing any harm, just enjoying the sun. So we have spiders, we have mice. What else are we gonna find here? Now, this huge weed that is very dense and growing along the side of this fence, this is known as carpet weed. This stuff originated in South Africa, but it is very, very invasive here in South Australia. I see this stuff all the time, but it does come up nicely in one clump, so that's always good. And this stuff smells really bad. After chasing after that rat just then, I just saw another pretty scary creature. Have a look at this thing. These things are quite dangerous. It looks like it's either a redback spider or a black house spider. Either way, it's pretty big and they're pretty bad. I'm gonna leave that there, I'm not touching it. Gonna get the rest of this stuff and then clean up the walkways, the rest of the rubbish that's there, and then we can get out of here because it is really hot today. And I've just found another extremely dangerous spider. I just found a white tip spider. These guys are actually really dangerous. I'll just show you what they look like, and I don't really want to go near this thing, so I'll leave it alone, but I'll quickly show you. Just under. So that's what they look like. They've got a white tip on their bum. Obviously a bit scared right now. I'm just gonna leave him there and remember where he is. Look at all these bugs that we've got down here. See him slowly climbing up. Come on, mate. Oh, get away. Actually, I'm gonna keep this one for bottles and cans, so this can be the recycling bin. And last but not least, we have this castor bean plant. These are also known as maple weeds. This thing is going pretty crazy, so I'm just going to trim some of the limbs off that are going this way and then tidy up underneath it, and we are done.